Welcome to this special 2026 graduation explainer for AI and us. We're embarking on a pretty profound, honestly almost tectonic shift when it comes to artificial intelligence in higher education. Right now, we're churning out answers way faster than we actually know how to evaluate human comprehension. So let's dive into this completely shifting landscape. To kick things off, consider this rather provocative reality. We're now at a point where a brilliant academic text no longer guarantees a brilliant mind behind it. We've measured it, we're comparing it on a global scale, and today we're going to try to figure out what we actually do about it. Picture this scene for a second. A student hands in a remarkably sophisticated paper. The structure, flawless. The arguments flow with this elegant, almost professional academic prose. Yet, during the oral feedback session, when the teacher genuinely asks them to explain their core premise, the student just sits there, completely silent. There's literally no voice behind the words. Now, it's absolutely crucial to understand that this isn't necessarily about malicious cheating or some sudden collapse of academic integrity. It's actually something much deeper, and if we're being honest, slightly unsettling.
What we are witnessing here is a massive epistemological rift. See, historically, the act of writing was totally inseparable from the act of thinking. Writing was the actual cognitive device we used to organize the chaos of our ideas. But generative AI has completely decoupled the mechanical act of producing academic text from the human effort of actually understanding the topic. The friction of thought, that difficult, messy process of reasoning, well, that's become optional. Meanwhile, the flawless final product has become basically automatic. The production of text has officially divorced human comprehension.
And this separation, it's happening on a scale that is just unprecedented. Let's zoom out and look at the globe for a second. According to recent UNESCO data, worldwide higher education enrollment has surged to nearly 269 million students. To put that into perspective, that is a massive leap from just 100 million back in the year 2000. So we're essentially setting the stage for a colossal collision. On one side, we're trying to tackle the historic challenge of scaling inclusive, equitable education. On the other side, we're facing a digital disruption that is aggressively rewriting the rules of how knowledge is even demonstrated. Now, when we compare international realities, the data reveals a pretty profound paradox. In Mexico's ENIOG 2025 diagnostic, 66% of participating students report using AI weekly. But here's the catch. Over 75% of those at public institutions are operating without knowing any institutional rules. It's massive, rapid adoption happening in a total regulatory vacuum. But let's flip over to the UK's HEPI data. Over there, 80% of students say their institution has clear AI policies. So, problem solved, right? Well, not exactly. In the UK, 53% of students live in fear of being falsely accused of cheating by their universities. High policy visibility has paradoxically just resulted in severe student anxiety. So, the world is reacting very differently to this exact same crisis. In the US, Harvard is fighting AI-worsened grade inflation by literally capping the number of A's their professors can give out. Meanwhile, Turnitin is trying to technologically detect AI writing. Finland, they're taking a much more cautious, pedagogical route, issuing ethical guidelines and really focusing on AI literacy. And then you have South Korea, who is investing a massive $850 million into AI digital textbooks, which has naturally sparked these really intense, heated debates about technological dependency versus innovation. We're all basically trying to map a territory that's shifting beneath our feet. Amidst this global scramble, we really have to acknowledge what Mexico did right. Launching the NIAG 2025 survey was a huge step to open the conversation and measure this phenomenon on a massive scale. We're talking over 1.5 million students and 160,000 teachers participating. Now, a quick caveat. We need to be careful to note that this data reflects the perceptions of the participating respondents, not an absolute national census. But as a diagnostic tool, it's invaluable. It forces us to look in the mirror and confront our own educational reality, rather than just relying on foreign studies. But, as you might expect, that mirror reflects some pretty harsh truths. While AI adoption is practically everywhere, we are seeing severe gaps in implementation, budget, and training. Just look at this disparity. In Mexico's technological universities, about 51% of teachers have received some form of AI training. But out in rural or intercultural universities, that number just plummets to roughly 25%. If we don't intervene, generative AI isn't going to act as the great equalizer. It's going to act as a ruthless amplifier of historical, regional inequalities. And this brings us right into a psychological trap, the illusion of productivity. The ENI-EXAG survey actually shows that 73% of participating teachers and 69% of students perceive an improvement in their academic performance, but we've got to be highly critical of this.
Just because students and teachers feel they're performing better because their outputs look pristine and are generated instantly, it absolutely does not mean deep, critical learning is actually taking place. We are completely mistaken the fluency of the machine's output for the actual competence of the human mind.
Let's step away from grades and essays for a minute, because I want to pivot the narrative to a really striking and honestly somewhat unsettling human data point from the NIH survey: 92,000. Just take a moment to think about what that number might represent in the context of a massive AI survey.
Roughly 92,000 participating students reported using AI for emotional support. We're looking at the stark reality of the 3 a.m. chatbot. And what's more, 61% of these users were women seeking relief from anxiety and stress. This exposes a glaring, truly painful absence of human, institutional mental health support. Universities have left a void, and the algorithm has just quietly stepped in to fill it. This raises incredibly urgent questions, not just about student well-being, but about severe data privacy. Are international tech companies just absorbing the deepest anxieties of our students?
So the absolutely crucial point is this. The traditional university essay, which has been the gold standard of evaluation for centuries, is broken. The final text is simply no longer a valid metric of human comprehension. Which leads us to the ultimate educational consequence. The really uncomfortable question we can't ignore anymore. If the final text is no longer proof of learning, how do we completely rethink the way we verify that a student has actually learned anything?
Well, the answer lies in fundamentally redefining what it means to teach. Teaching has to shift from constantly policing AI usage to actively accompanying the student. The new role of whoever stands at the front of a classroom is to design experiences where thinking is literally impossible to delegate to a machine. We have to start evaluating the messy, non-linear process of learning rather than just blindly grading a polished final product.
And the good news is we have concrete, realistic proposals to actually make this happen. First up, interactive oral exams, kind of like the model they're testing at the University of Auckland. Sure, an AI can answer questions, but a human teacher, a human asks the questions the student doesn't even know they need to answer yet, exploring their reasoning in real time. Second, process portfolios. We need to evaluate the trajectory. Show me the drafts, the decision logs, the justification for why a student accepted or rejected what the AI suggested. And third, local context tasks. We've got to anchor assignments in local Mexican community data that global AI models simply don't have in their training sets.
But listen, teachers absolutely cannot do this alone. Authorities have to implement an immediate institutional action plan. First, apply the delegation test. If an AI can do a task with a single prompt, that rubric has to be redesigned immediately. Second, universities must secure protected, compensated time for teacher training. This is a monumental shift. It can't just be a weekend hobby. Third, we need equitable budgets to close those regional gaps we looked at earlier. And fourth, we have to enact strict protocols to protect student data and conduct specialized institutional diagnostics for every career path.
As we wrap up this explainer, we really have to look toward the horizon. Think about it. In a future labor market that's already completely saturated with artificial intelligence, what is the true value of a university graduate? Their value definitely isn't in producing text quickly anymore. Their value is their human judgment. It's their critical analysis and their innate protected desire to truly understand the world. We have to preserve that friction of thought, because at the end of the day, that friction is the only thing that makes us distinctly human.
In AI and Us, technology changes, judgment decides. This video essay was created with Notebook LM from a script and curated sources by Victor Perez Abreu, with support from AI tools. Video essay series AI and Us.